Hi everyone and welcome back to my garden. So today's video is a bit different in that it's not going to be about one specific task that needs doing in the garden. I came out this morning, the weather's crazy, so it's really windy, it's very warm. It was chucking it down with rain about 20 minutes ago, and now we're brilliant sunshine again. So we're just going to go with it. But I came out into the garden this morning, and the whole garden just seemed to have, like, everywhere I looked, there was something that needed doing, something needed cutting back or weeding or pulling out. And I did feel quite sort of overwhelmed by it. So I thought, right, I'll make a video about that. What do you do in the garden when you really don't know where to start? There's so much to do that you don't know where to start. So what I've decided to do is I'm not going to overthink it. I'm just going to start somewhere, like the first thing that catches my eye, that I think, right, I'll deal with you. So I've got my eye on it already, and it's a Perovskia plant down there, which I meant to do something about last year, didn't do it, so I'm going to sort that out this year. So I'm just going to go around the garden and doing lots of different jobs, and hopefully when I've done the first job, that'll motivate me to do something else. So we'll just see how this video goes. But I do hope you enjoy it. So I'll show you the Perovskia. I'll put a picture up of what it should be like, because this Perovskia is a good 2 years old at least. So that's my specimen. South facing border, but it's just like one long stem twisted in on itself. Not good at all. That's the beautiful flower. Poor little thing. So I'm going to dig him out, and I'm going to put him at the front. But just as a precaution, because I've got a number of branches coming off here, just as a precaution, I'm going to take some tip cuttings off him. I'll transplant the root of the Perovskia, but then off here, off this stem, I'll cut the flower off the top because you don't need that. I'll probably get about 5 or 6 tip cuttings. Right, so I'm gonna, it looks cool, but we don't need the flower. You don't want the bit of stem you're cutting off wasting its energy trying to keep a flower alive and making seed. So to take tip cuttings, see, I'll just cut it there, just above those 2 leaves that are coming out there. Chop it off there, and then take those bottom leaves off. So that will be 1 tip cutting there. So again, I'll just cut it above those 2 leaves there, and then cut those leaves in half, because you want all the energy to make roots out the bottom there. You don't want it trying to keep big leaves alive. There, leaving a bit of stem. So there's another 2 cuttings there. Got 1 there. That's where the root will come out the bottom, and that one there. Again, take the big leaf, well, take these big leaves off, just leave the fresh new leaves. And these are soft tip cuttings, so it means that the stem is still pale green and very flexible and bendy. It's not a hardwood cutting. If I was to take cuttings off this bit here, that's brown, that is hardwood, and that would be more difficult to root. And what I'll do is I'll grow these on in the greenhouse and overwinter them in the greenhouse so they've got some protection. I have got some rooting powder, but you could pop these in like a little beaker of clear glass of water, and then you can see when they're rooting. Or you could just pop them into a bit of soil in a pot, some multi-purpose compost, and just make sure that that compost never dries out. Right, so they are all my cuttings off one stem. I've got another stem that I can take cuttings off as well. So I'll show you what I do with those in the greenhouse. Right, so I've just popped these into a dish of water, and that'll keep them alive until I go and get my compost, and I'll put them up. These are some sedum cuttings, tip cuttings that I took earlier on, and some geranium cuttings. It's really worth your while doing that. Right, so I've got my multi-purpose compost there, and what I'm going to add to it for these cuttings is horticultural grit, because with cuttings they need to be kept moist, but they've also got to be free draining. That's the secret. You don't want these little cuttings sitting in soggy soil. So just a nice gritty compost, fill the pot up like that. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to take these bottom leaves off, cut the top leaves down, pop the stem in like that, and then pop it in the side of the pot. Right, and I've decided to put these baby plants on the bottom shelf in my greenhouse, so that's the top shelf up there. So they are getting sunlight, but they're sort of semi-shade. And then what you do is you give them a good soak till it drains out the bottom. And then you just make sure that that soil never dries out until these little plants are well established. So I'll keep you updated on them, and I'll go and dig that mother plant out now, and we'll get her in the front border. I'm sure she'll be much happier there. So here we are at the front of my house, on the front border, and I'm not happy with this clump of Montbretia here. It's got one or two flowers, but for the size of the bit of earth that it's taking up, that's not earning its keep. So what I'm thinking is I'm going to dig this whole patch out. Right, so what you do is you find where the main plant is and dig up a good root ball in that area. Really drizzly, blustery day today, but never mind. Right, so that's the clump that I've got there. So I'll come out here so you can see better away from the other plants. Right, so it's got a lovely root system on it, but to help it recover and sort of shoot away again this year, I don't think it'll flower again this year, I'm going to cut it off right at the bottom there, because I don't need all of that. I may take some tip cuttings off that. And if you can see right at the bottom there, I've got a lovely new shoot coming up. So we'll take this to the front border and I'll get this in. Right, so I'm going to plant this Perovskaya here where that big clump of Montbretia was. It's lovely and sunny now. It's pouring with rain about half an hour ago. It's lovely and crumbly, the soil here. There we go. I think it's going to love it here. And then just like those baby plants, I'm going to make sure that this parent plant is kept watered for at least a few weeks. Just help those roots settle in and then start to grow. Right, so for the front border, to sort of flesh it out midsummer, I've got these in the clearance. So this is a herb and it's a curry plant. So I've got him. I've got two of those actually, because they will love that hot baking sun on that front border. And then I got these two beautiful plants. It's almost a kind of metallic looking leaf. It's beautiful. So anything usually, as far as I know, that has this sort of white or silvery grey foliage likes full sun. And this is a convolvulus. So that looks gorgeous. What else did I get? Oh, I got two of these. I can't decide whether I'm going to put these in the front border or in my white garden. And these are just New Guinea impatiens, and I got these half price as well. Right. Oh, and then just to give a little pop of colour, I've got a pack of, how many's in here? 6 chrysanthemums in yellow. So I think all of those together will really look pretty in that border. And I know that all these plants are really quite small. I think that must be a 1 litre pot. But I've learned from experience, the border that I'm going to put these plants in is really, really narrow. So I think at its maximum, it's only about 18 inches deep. And the narrowest end, it goes down to about 6 inches wide. And what I've found over the years is the smaller the plants that I put in, they get their roots down and then they spread out underneath the public footpath. And they can grow huge, as have the Crocosmia lucifer, all the daisies in that border. You know, huge plants, but they didn't go in huge. They went in really small. Whereas these will just take their sweet time, and those silvery shrubs and that, they'll just take their sweet time, and by next year they'll probably have doubled size. That's what I'm hoping for anyway. Right, so I just want to put a pop of colour into this border here. I have got some nice spaces there where I can put just some pops of colour. See, I've got a gap down there, one down here. This is the Perovskia that I've planted, but I could plant either side of him. Got a gap there. Right, so I'm thinking this curry plant here on the corner, because this is Campanula, that's a lupin for next year. This here is loosestrife, so it's yellow. And then we start going into the Crocosmia lucifer there. So I'm just going to put this here. So I'm thinking here, I'll just have a pop of colour. I'll put a couple of little chrysanthemums in there. And then this is the gap in the daisies. So this is oxeye daisy here, grows nice and tall. That's another lupin for next year. It's a bit of Sweet William here. That's an old gladioli bulb. That's dry as a bone, you can tell that one's dead. Loving this. You know, I'm going to put the label there because my neighbours are just like me. If they pass a plant and they love it, I would either be knocking on the door and saying, oh, what's that plant? Or having a look at the label. Put him in nice and deep. That's it. I was going to put him there, but I know that this is loosestrife, and also I've got a silvery leafed lavender there. So you know what, I'm just going to put another little splash of yellow here. These should bush out nicely, and if they like it here on the front of my border, I'll buy some more and put them in. Right, we'll move along. Right, so here, these are gladioli that haven't even flowered, so I'm going to pull them out. Out you come. Right, put him here. It's great when you get the right plant in the right place and it just takes off. But you know, if they don't like their spot, they're lovely. Yeah, if they don't like their spot, you just move them. It's no biggie. That's it. There, that's it. And then at the back there, I've got a foxglove. He'll be beautiful next year. This is the gap where I've planted the Perovskia. So he hopefully will love it here and he'll grow nice and big. But that will be next year. So you know what, I'm just going to pop this curry plant here. Otherwise I'm just going to have a big patch of soil here for the rest of this year, and I don't want that. There we go. Got some, I don't know whether they're potatoes out my compost or I don't know what they are. They're either bulbs or potatoes. Don't seem to have any roots on. I didn't realise years ago that if you put potato skins in your compost, they grow potatoes. And I've never managed to get rid of the potatoes in the garden since. Right, put a couple of, now you see I can tell that's a bulb. This border should be full of, yeah it is, I'm digging them up here. But as long as you don't spear them with your trowel, they'll be absolutely fine. Right, I think that's it. I'll go and get the watering can and I'll give all these newly planted little plants a nice drink. Right, so I think I'm on a roll. The enthusiasm kicked in about an hour ago. So I think the last job I'm going to do today is I'm going to concentrate on this area of the garden here, because this is the area that I dug out about probably a month ago now. It was overrun with Japanese anemone, goldenrod, Persicaria bistota, and what was the other one that was in there? Euphorbia. Very invasive, very green and gnarly foliage I had in there. So I dug it out. There's a video out. I'll put the link in the description box below. Dug it out and I'm planted it out with Rudbeckia, some Gora, some Lobelia there, and then I just popped that tub of hydrangea in just to sort of give it a pop of colour there. So my thinking here is, you know, we are into September now. So if we have a look, the phlox is gorgeous, this pink and white one. And then I've got a beautiful phlox, a pink one at the back there. The hydrangea is still looking gorgeous. The Monarda is coming to an end, but I just love the seed heads. It's beautiful. Some daisy at the front. This phlox is in the wrong place, but as I said in the previous video, I'm going to dig him out when he's finished and put him more back of border. That's my beautiful new Rebecca. Really pleased with this Gora, how that's settled in. I mean, he must be 24 inches tall, him. And the lobelia as well is going to come up. So I was trying to sort of replicate you can see the Annabelle in the back, the hydrangea Annabelle. So I had white, red, and then I had a lot of yellow loosestrife here as well. So I was replicating that. So the white, the yellow, the red of the lobelia, which I'm really excited about seeing what that does. But until the lobelia flowers, I've just popped the hydrangea in and then backed with the beautiful goldenrod there. But then as you come over to this area here, you know, I have got a lot of lovely plants in here. So I've got that lovely phlox there. I've got a lovely thistle there, and then a pale pink phlox there. But the foliage around it is finished, so I can see here, this is Amimagus, that fuzzy head there. There's some dead daisies there that need cutting back. That yellow plant at the back, which from a distance, one of my viewers and myself, we thought that was an achillea, but it's not. I think it's just a weed, but it's been really, really pretty. So I'm going to pull him out, tidy up this area, maybe cut back the lupins. You can see I've got dead foliage in there, and maybe cut the astrantia back. I don't know whether I'll get a second flush off him, but that's what I'm going to do now. So that should only take me about 10 minutes. So I think once I do clear this area, this whole border will just look gorgeous. And then just a quickie, I'll show you here, my Helenium has all flowered. So a lovely big patch of that, particularly against that backdrop of that huge shrub there. So I'm definitely going to be splitting this Helenium up into 3 or 4 clumps and spreading this throughout the garden for next year. But I'll do it when it's finished flowering in a few weeks' time. So I'm just going to pull this big daisy thing out. Wow. And get him out. He's probably self-seed and come back next year. And oh, I'm so delighted. I've just seen this, and this is Joe Pyeweed. And I bought him during lockdown from a nursery in Ireland. And I thought he was planted over there, but oh, I'm so delighted. I know I've seen clumps of Joe Pyeweed in other people's gardens, and it's fabulous. I've got one sticking up there, but anywho, I'm delighted with that. I'm just cutting back Linaria here. Got lots of this oxeye daisy hanging, that's fallen over here. Got to be very careful because I don't want to snap that pyeweed. That'll be fabulous if I get a big clump of him here next year. This here is an achillea flower, huge. Right, where's he? You just sort of travel down the stem and then chop him at the base. And he might come back again. Right, what have we got in here? So it's this bit here. The Amimagus comes out really easily. That's it. So it's got the root at the base there. Back, back, back. This is really pretty. Oh, it's got 2 bees on there. Sorry, disturbing you. What's that? Oh, that's a huge delphinium there. He can come out. The goldenrod's just sort of battered back. He should all be standing up. He very rarely flops, but had such wins. Right, that's an Amimajus. Okay, I hope it's looking better from where you are. This plant here is Jerusalem sage, and when it went over, I thought, oh, I'm going to keep those seed heads because they look fabulous. But actually, I've changed my mind. Right, what is this? A lot of dead foliage. Right, I'm not just going to pull it all out because I'm not sure what it is. Oh, I think that's Shasta daisy. Yeah. I've got a clump of Monarda here, which I didn't even know I had in there. Pull that out. More daisy. This is a lovely miscanthus. And my miscanthus is just obviously very small. And I just sort of leave it there. But I do watch a lady who lives in America, and her channel is called Pleasant Prickles, and she has the most beautiful miscanthus I've ever seen. 3 huge clumps, and she has a brilliant video out on what she does with hers in the autumn. I'll put the link to it. It's fabulous. And then she uses all of the dead foliage to mulch her garden, because obviously it's a lot hotter over in America than it is up here in the northeast of England. But I think we're going to have to learn a lot from our American gardening friends about mulching and the importance of it and retaining water in our borders. It's not something I've really given much consideration to, but I can tell this year by the hot, dry weather that we've had, the winds really, how quickly my garden is drying out. And then I'm going to just chop the top foliage off this Astrantia here. Oh, I'm so pleased I came out and did this. Another YouTuber who I watch is Suffolk Susie, who she gardens on Long Island, New York, and she has a video out experiencing being just overwhelmed this time of year in the garden, and she talks about how she tackles, I think it's a 3-foot square patch. And she has a real cottage garden, so she grows loads of produce. So now I can actually see what I've got. So that clump of phlox is a lot bigger than I thought it was. Delighted with that. And that phlox as well is bigger. I can see my thistles there. I can see the Joe Pye weed now. And then this is the beautiful foliage of the Jerusalem sage. Oh, they're just sort of furry leaves. So yes, there's a wide angled view of it. So really pleased with this September border now. So there we go. I'm delighted with what I've got done, considering I had no idea what I was going to do or where I was going to start. I'm just so pleased that I started somewhere. And I've probably put in, oh, I don't know, maybe an hour and a half. So if, like me, you were completely at a loss as to where you were going to start or what you were going to do, I would just say jump in and start doing anything. Or like Susie, just start on a tiny little area. I think she started on a 3-foot square patch of her vegetable garden, but when you see her later, she's done the whole border. So yes, until next time, bye.